Hi everyone, once again this is Michael Caruso and welcome to part 2 of my final project, that being my playthrough of Roller Coaster Tycoon 2. Today we are going to be completing the level that we had started in part 1, Crazy Castle, so I highly recommend you check that out if you did not see the first part, so you can be caught up as to what we've done in the scenario so far. I will also be discussing different aspects of the game, namely some that were covered in my video game analysis course, and, most likely we will be finishing this scenario. Shouldn't be too difficult, but, I intend to spend as much time necessary in order to complete what's left of it, but we did make a lot of progress last time. I'd also like to take a moment to apologize in advance. I have recently come down with a really bad cough, so I'm going to try not to cough so much into the microphone, so if you hear me off to the side or things of that nature, that's basically what it boils down to, and I apologize in advance, but I figured that'd be easier so that way you guys know what is going on. So, without further ado, everything is good to go. Let's go ahead and load up our scenario, that being Crazy Castle. Excuse me. And we'll finally manage to complete this scenario. So, here's where we stand right now. Our goal of this level, I believe, well, we'll just go here. Our goal is to have at least 1,500 guests in the park at the end of October year 4 with a park rating of at least 600. Our park rating is well above that, and we are almost at the end of year 2. So we're a little bit short on the guests, but making steady progress as we speak. I think if we keep building up the ride, we shouldn't have too much of an issue with it, and we'll slowly be repaying our loan in the meantime when we don't really have much to build. Which I don't think is anything too new. You guys will excuse me, I'm just moving this out of the... There we go. I don't think there's too much new that we can build, but there's definitely things we can bring into the park that would hopefully attract more guests. For instance, we go all the way over to this corner. Let's go ahead, and I think we're going to go ahead and put in a Dodgems, which is, pretty easy way to make some extra cash here. We'll go ahead and place that there, and the exit here, and we'll bring the entrance, maybe like, I don't want to get rid of these benches though, so we might just go like a wraparound path, something like that. So we'll go ahead and work with that right here, and yep, perfect. We won't get rid of the castle, but we'll go right about, yeah, let's get rid of this area right here. We have a path right there. Excuse me, I apologize. And in keeping with the green theme that we got going on here, we'll add our castle entrance, and we'll call this Castle... Did we already do Castle Cars? Yeah, we did. It's literally the name of the ride right next to it. We'll go with the Daring Dodgems. Why? Because why not? It would be nice if I actually knew how to spell. Okay, there we go. Let's go ahead and open. Alright, perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and whoa, something happened in our park over here. I'm gonna go ahead and discuss a little bit more about this game as I go ahead and do some micromanagement stuff, clean up after certain areas of the park. So, like I said, this game still has a lot to offer and to be discussed, despite it being as old as it is. And one of the things that I found to be really surprising about a game like this, which I had only discovered recently, is that the community of this game is still going strong after all these years. I was just randomly on YouTube the other day, And in my feed, literally on the main page of YouTube, was suggested videos about Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 because I had seen a few of them in the past. And there are some content creators that really devote themselves to making videos about this game, which honestly stunned me. The fact that the game is as old as it is, and yet still manages to find its place to be analyzed and discussed in today's gaming world. I think that's actually really unique and something that I was not aware of for the longest time. But it turns out it's true, and honestly, not something that I would have expected upon, revisiting this game after however many years that it's been. um, there have been videos about tips and tricks in order to beat certain scenarios. There's also videos about exclusive content designed in the game. Sorry about that, I just got a text message. And yeah, there's just been still existent and relevant. The amount of content that this game has is actually unbelievable. And something that definitely caught me by surprise when I first came back to this game after how many years it has been. And I personally find that really cool, that this game still has as much of a following as it does after all these years. And I apologize. And it's still being talked about to such a length that it is. It's definitely something that I would not have expected. And yeah, so I guess another thing worth discussing is a topic that I had mentioned a couple of times, well, not a couple of times, I should say, that I mentioned overall in my artifact presentation. And one of the topics that I discussed was the calling and the desire to remaster and revisit a game. And there has been not really a remaster of this game, but as I've stated, there's been like, Planet Coaster is the closest thing to a remaster in a sense. But instead of a remaster, there's a popular mod of this game called Open RCT 2, which I had considered playing before this, but you need data from Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 in order to play that mod. Obviously, that's pretty much how mods work. Mods work. Excuse me. But I had not even known that it existed for a long time. And not only does it exist, but it's extremely popular and it's added multiple brand new features. It also actually has the ability for you to play online with other players, which I think is absolutely unbelievable that something like that could even exist, let alone in a game like this being as old as it is and still being able to go strong after all these years, which I personally find to be pretty special, if I'm being completely honest. Just the fact that people still care about this game as much as I do. Playing it for the first time when I was young, I had such an amazing time. I guess I could talk about that. Let's go down memory lane for a second. So, back in grade school, my dad, I should say, worked for the latchkey program, which is, a way for kids to wait for their parents, essentially after school got out, but there's also, like, activities, there was games, and time for you to work on homework and make friends. It was just a really, fun and enjoyable program for kids like myself to be a part of. And one of the things that we had, I think in like the early days of Latchkey, I don't remember like the exact year, but it was a computer. It was like a Windows 98, I think it was, something like that, 98 or 95, one of the two. But it had a bunch of games built on it for us to play. And I don't know how or who, or if it was the school or whatever the case may be, but one day on the PC, the computer, was Roller Coaster Tycoon for us to play. And I remember thinking to myself, well, that sounds pretty cool, being able to like design a theme park and stuff. And so I'm sitting there And I distinctly remember this. I'm not making this up, but I was with my friend Brandon at the time in elementary school, and we're playing this game together. And I remember saying to myself, "This is really, really enjoyable." And I remember getting so excited being able to build a park, build these rides. Obviously, I had no sense of what I was doing, but at the same time, it wasn't too difficult to figure out, and I wasn't, I wasn't incredibly old or anything like that. I'm not trying to not trying to brag or anything here, but just the fact of the matter that I was able to find out how the game works despite being so young, and was able to basically use the tools given to me in the game to design parks and to play scenarios. Oh, I believe this was the first Roller Coaster Tycoon, because I don't think Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 was available yet. Um, but at the same time, the fact of the matter is that I was able to discover how the game works, despite being so young. And I had taken the time to understand the buttons, the controls, and everything the game had to offer. I took the time to understand the procedurality, as I had stated in the first part, despite being, so young and somewhat new to video games. I don't think I definitely did not have a lot of experience playing them when I was young. In fact, I remember like the very first game I think that my dad had ever bought for me was Elmo's Preschool for the computer. And so you could tell that, there was an interest from my parents to get me involved in gaming in some way. Um, but that whole process of understanding how the game worked accumulated over time. And once I had become old enough to understand a game like this and take the time to fully, I guess, learn the tools and things of that nature, if that makes sense, then I was able to figure out the ins and outs of the game. And like I said, as you can see right now with what's going on the screen, I'm still able to, excuse me, play this game and remember all the tools and tricks that I had learned growing up, despite the game being old and despite myself being young. And I never honestly thought that it would be possible, but lo and behold, you're witnessing it right now as I build and design this custom coaster for you guys. So I just think that's just a really cool aspect of the game, which I hadn't even considered until, just now, pretty much. So, we're going to do a basic looping coaster here. We're going to add a loop, and we're going to go straight up, and I was afraid this was going to happen. Let's see, we're going to move this back a little bit. And I don't like, yeah, trying to think what would be the best possible spot. I think, oh, that should be fine. Okay, let's add the loop again, and we're gonna go up right about there, and we're gonna go back. You guys will know what I'm trying to do in a moment, and we're gonna go up this way to about the top of the castle right here, and I think that should be good. Now, this is gonna be interesting. We're going to test this coaster to see if I've done it correctly. But thankfully there's not going to be any patrons on it, but maybe you guys will be able to see, witness a live crash here during my playthrough, which would be, pretty entertaining, at least for somebody out there. So, we're going to make this a launch coaster, and let's go with 51 miles per hour. Let's see if that's good enough. I want it to pass the loop, and yeah, that works, and then it's going to come back. No, it's not. Well, this is why you don't open your coaster first. I cannot believe that happened. That is hilarious. And it had so much potential, too. So I got a story about that once I open this coaster. Let's go a little bit slower. Let's go 47 miles per hour this time. Oh, that is hilarious. Okay, pass the loop, and perfect. Okay, it's going to pass the loop again, and then come back down, and that's a coaster. There we go. Oh my gosh, that is so funny. That's one of the things that makes this game so enjoyable. I'll definitely get into a rant about that momentarily once we get our test results here, which I'm expecting to be pretty, fairly on the high side. Let's see what the game decides to tell us. Oh, me. Oh, actually, all right, that's surprising, but definitely welcome. I will, for sure, take that. So now, I want like a big wavy path because we think this one is going to be pretty popular. So I always forget how this works. Damn, I didn't want to do that. Yeah, there we go. Now, this one we definitely want some benches and restrooms next to. Or a restroom, I should say. Bring this back up here. Let's go restroom 4. Right there. Okay. Excuse me. I apologize. I know I'm probably going to end up keep apologizing for the amount of times that I cough, but, it comes in the territory. The name of this one, I want to keep with the castle theme, so, oh, what the heck is it called when you storm a castle? It's not like barrage, is it? I think that's it. Dang it. I had a good name in my head and it disappeared. I'm gonna look this up actually. Let's see how fast I can do this. And I'm just doing this for my own purpose, as opposed to, necessarily needing to do this in the game. Ooh, I like that one. How about the, no, not a moat. That would be good for a water ride. How about the, not crazy, but maybe something along the lines of that. How about the Raging Rampart? Shout out to Apex Legends. Rampart's, that has to be a castle, right? Alright, open for business. And you can see that in action here. Oh my gosh, what is going on with my paths? It's good to take care of this now because if we don't, over time, it's going to really drastically hurt our park rating, and our rides cannot stop breaking down. That's a little bit of a concern, but nothing we can't handle. Okay, so like I said, the coaster crashing, I had no clue was even a part of the game when I first played it. And when it did happen, I remembered I was young and, experiencing for the first time. I thought it was absolutely hysterical the first time that it had happened. Because I was like, oh my gosh, not only did this, this coaster could have just crashed regularly. It didn't crash. It exploded. It, combusted into multiple pieces. And on top of that, there could have been people on this ride. That could have been a lot worse than it was. But luckily it didn't happen. When I was young, however, sure enough it did. And when you're a young player, or granted, when you're any kind of player experiencing this game for the first time, you're not going to know what's going to happen without experimentation. And it's kind of one of the cool things about this game, is that you're able to approach any level in a way that you choose, and you get to determine what works and what doesn't. But on top of that, there is a penalty for something like that to happen, but, you start to clarify with yourself, like, no, these are sentient, not real guests, obviously, but at the same time, just having that message come across the screen, like, oh, blah blah has crashed, and just, even having patrons literally die from your coaster crashing. This is something that you created. Oh my gosh, it sounds so worse than it is, but it's so amusing at the same time when it happens for the first time. And at the same time, you can play the game like this. There's no real set way to play this game, and there's also real, set penalty besides the obvious of, having it happen for the first time. And I think this is very good for not only young players but new players. And there's just something so maybe unintentionally amusing about, experiencing a game like this. At the same time, because I didn't expect it to happen. And obviously this is not akin to how coasters work in real life. When a coaster crashes off the track, it doesn't explode and, have a catastrophic effect like it does in the game. But I think that's one of the key aspects to games like this and simulation games overall. One of the things I discussed in my artifact presentation is the difficulty to design a game based around aspects of business simulation. As I had stated before, excuse me, a lot of this game is revolved around waiting and events just happening on their own, organically. And, one of the aspects of business simulation is waiting to see how, the business unfolds, and if money is able to be made, are the guests happy, and things of that nature. And so it's a lot different, I guess I should say, if this were like a actual real life simulation, it would be very difficult to design a game based around it. Players would get bored really fast, and there wouldn't be much levels of satisfaction if something were real. But I think because Tycoon games, including this one, and a few other examples I mentioned in my presentation, are so exaggerated that there's an element of enjoyment. And therefore, designers are able to figure out the best possible way to design a game based around aspects of simulation. Which I think is very, very interesting to note. In certain games you have maybe like an exaggerated art style, or, amusing scenarios, or another thing I mentioned is like an exaggeration of life, basically. Like a few of the games, let's say, for instance, you were tasked with designing a city underwater, or on the moon, or, for example of another game that has a prominent feeling with my life is Zoo Tycoon, which, quite honestly, probably would have been the game that I probably would have played besides this had I, if I was given access to it. Unfortunately, I don't think it's on Steam, but there's like so many predecessors and like spin-offs in a sense. But the point I'm trying to make is that, new players are going to struggle with the idea of being able to play a game, or, essentially being able to play a game where the entire goal is to sit around and just let things happen on their own. It's not going to be an easy way to sell a game. And so I think what's genius about games like Roller Coaster Tycoon and series like that is that, there's no real penalty to being able to explore the game at your own pace. Obviously there's like time limits when it comes to getting everything done, but at the same time, having aspects like the coaster crash happen is a way to ensure players that there's still a level of enjoyment to be had, as opposed to just sitting around with nothing happening over extended periods of time. There's essentially something very fun about when unexpected events happen in these kind of games, which I think is something really cool and worth noting, not just with Roller Coaster Tycoon, but with a lot of the Tycoon games and a lot of the ones that I mentioned in my presentation. So I just think that, that was very interesting to talk about in a sense with games like this. So for those of you paying attention, it is now April year 3, and we have October year 4 to land 1,500 guests. We just now reached 1,000, which is a great milestone. But that's not what's going to help us beat the level. So, there is something that I'm going to do, which I did in the last video. I'm going to run an advertising campaign to get guests into the park. And I'm tempted to do free rides, but advertising for the park seems like it would be easier. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're just going to do the 6 weeks, 2,100, and just hope for the best. We're just trying to get as many heads into the park as possible. And yes, our money is in the red, but luckily, there's no real penalty for going bankrupt. There are massive penalties for losing funds in other games, but luckily for Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, it's not as drastic, I guess, in a sense. For instance, if I were to play Zoo Tycoon, and let's say I would lose all funds, there is a chance that I could get a message saying, hey, the government is pleased with how, I guess, happy the animals are in your zoo. And so as a reward, they decided to loan you X amount of money. But at the same time, if you're playing Zoo Tycoon and the animals are not satisfied, then not only do you lose money, but you also lose the opportunity to adopt more animals and to further grow your zoo. So there's a lot of strategy involved. In later games, and I mentioned this in my presentation, they have decided to gut funding completely out of certain levels. And in a game like this, for instance, there's a custom scenario creator, which, there might not be much of a purpose since you can't upload scenarios online, obviously. But at the same time, you can do that with like the OpenRCT2 mod, for example. But the point is, players are allowed to investigate on their own, and if they choose to create their own level where funds are not, something that abides the player to any specific rules, and they're able to do so, which I think is really smart and creative for the developers of this game to decide to do. And it's a way, like I said, once again, to entice new players into a franchise like this that might not seem all appealing at first, given the idea. And, if you were to pitch to someone that, the idea of this game, and that's something else that I can talk about. If you were to sit here and to pitch to someone the idea of building a theme park in a game, it would sound pretty interesting. There's a game called Sim Theme Park, and I believe Sim Coaster, where you can, not only build the theme park, but you can build rides and build your own coasters and ride them in a 3D perspective. It was pretty revolutionary for its time. And so if you were to just take that and say to someone, hey, I'm playing a game right now that involves building and managing a theme park, then that would be enticing enough to bring people in. But that's not entirely, the bulk of the game. There's so much more than simply just designing a park. It's management. It's, maintaining happiness of guests. It's, variety of rides, this, that, and the other. And so many different aspects going into it than besides just managing a park. But I think that's also pretty unique for a game like this, in that you're not necessarily stuck to a sense of just sitting around and designing a park for no apparent reason. Okay, so, as I said my little rant here, we're still 500 guests short, and I think the way that we do this is with a wooden coaster, but I don't think that I'm going to go through the effort of designing a new one. I might pick one of the custom designs and just go from there, and I'm looking towards microphobia, if I'm being completely honest. I feel like this one will be the most safe, I guess, in a sense, and we're gonna... Yeah, obviously we need a lot more of our loan back out, but I'm not too concerned about that, mainly because the scenario is pretty close to being over. We're going to put this on the outside, and we're actually going to draw a path to connect this to our park, which I believe should be doable if we go right about... almost. Okay, I think... Let me see if I can do this. Does this work? Yes, it does. Okay. Now this is where it gets tricky. Obviously, we no longer want a no entry because we're going to have a ride here. So we're going to bring the no entry right about there. And also add one more on this side. Just because we still don't want guests to get lost in the park. But we can go ahead and... No, I didn't want to do that. Delete this one. We're going to put a tree back down. Let's go like right there. And so guests are going to slowly make their way towards the coaster. And we're going to go ahead and test and open. Obviously, we're not going to use the same name. Let's go with... I want something involving a battle. So... But then again, something involving wood would be cool too. So I'm just going to call this the... I'm just going to call it Bastion. Because, you know, bastions are associated with castles, so why not? Is there any music that we can do? No, fantasy wouldn't work. There's one that I was thinking of, but I can't remember what the name of it was. No, not medieval. I'll remember it in a moment. Ragtime? No, that's not it. Bear with me here. There's so many customization options, it's unbelievable. And that'll work for now. It's not quite with the theme, but you know, it's fine. that's what it boils down to in a sense. Should also, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and hire another handyman, but we'll make him patrol this area of the park, just because we don't want anything crazy happening here. And go ahead and do that. And seems like Bastion's a nice, simple, short coaster that will hopefully bring us to 500 more guests by the time the scenario is over. Even if for some reason we don't manage to accomplish the goal, this is still a way for me to talk about a game that I'm passionate about, and hopefully you guys find some enjoyment out of it as well. So, let's head back over to the main area. Looks like we got some cleaning to do as always. And we'll pay back. Well, no, we'll keep some of... Well, now, yeah, we did better. We don't want to avoid disaster here. But, of course, we'll probably be adding more rides as more become available, and depends on which ones I decide to add. Let's see here. I think we have every single thrill ride. Let's look at our research. Is there anything we can filter out in terms of the research for the park? Let me see if I remember how to get there. There we go. Water flavor. Nah, well, yeah, that was fine. We'll just keep that for now. Nah, the maze was a bad idea, as we learned from the first video. I don't want to do the golf or the monorail, because that's only like one guest at a time, and it usually takes too long in queue rides. The water rides are a big question mark, though, because we have this huge space of water out here at the edge of the park, but then again, it might be too far for guests to walk, and I don't want that to happen. And I'm also not really tempted to take the time to dig out, you know, some land just to have like a little basic water park in the meantime. So I think, you know, I don't want, and I also don't personally like to have two of the same ride in the park. So that's you know, I think we'll just add like some random stalls and, you know, such here and there, just to build up some parts of the park. Excuse me. As we're halfway through year 3, as we get towards the beginning of year 4. So that'll be definitely something to keep an eye out for. Like I said, I'm not too nervous, but anything and everything could happen. It's just a matter of waiting to see. Let's see. What are people thinking about Bastion? Bastion, great, good, bad. Oh, shit, I forgot the price. Oop, pardon my French. There we go. Every coaster should be $4. It's just a basic little wooden coaster on the outskirts of the park. Nothing too crazy there. A lot of the other coasters that we have are not that great options, if we're being completely honest. I mean, like, we did the Reel. That was, like, our biggest risk. But, you know, we have the standards. We have the wooden, we have the junior, and we have a few extra ones like the Mine Ride and the Mouse. You know, nothing too crazy, but enough, hopefully, to get 400 more guests in. Ferris wheel still has not been fixed. And I think our park rating is still well above what it needs to be. I'm gonna hire another mechanic just in case, because I also have it to where, at least for the coaster's sake, that they get examined every 10 minutes or so, which I think is pretty useful. Your advertising campaign has finished. That's good. We'll probably end up doing another one before the scenario's over, just because it's a quick, easy way to get a few extra guests into the park. Okay, let's see. Is there any stalls that we haven't placed? I think we have one of everything. Let's do a t-shirt stall. That's always fun, right? Right here on the back. And keeping with the green theme, let's go this color. A lot of the rides that have been here for a while have started to break down, which is not a huge thing. Like I said, if we have enough mechanics and if they're able to make it to the rides in fast enough time, then it shouldn't be too detrimental of a loss. But, you know, like I said, in a more difficult scenario, this would be more tricky, because it's a way to lose park ratings really, really fast. But thankfully 600 is a pretty easy standard number to work with, as opposed to like some of the more difficult scenarios of this game. So I'm not too worried about it. Oh, you know, while I'm here, I'm going to show you guys a little trick that I learned, thanks to some of the content creators that I had mentioned earlier in this video. So you notice that all the guests have their own names, but gender is not a factor. You know, that's also a really interesting and smart decision, in a sense, by the developers of this game. But you can rename them anything you want. Like, for instance, let's go with Goldie M here, and if I wanted to do my name, you know, there we go. But there's something interesting that happens when you rename them certain names of people, and I only just recently learned this, which I think is really, really cool. So as soon as Goldie M gets out of the restroom, I'll show you the trick. So when you name, I'm going to name this person Chris Sawyer. And you notice that they're starting to do something pretty interesting here. Ah, sorry about that. My dad just walked in. So, you notice with the camera on Chris Sawyer here, that they're stopping every so often to take pictures. Well, guess what? Chris Sawyer is the name of the developer of the Roller Coaster Tycoon series of games. They are one of the biggest reasons that this game came to existence. Sawyer Studios, I think was the name of it, something along the lines of that. And it turns out that when you name them Chris Sawyer, like I did with this person here, they will stop every so often to take pictures. And you also notice something just now. I have the strangest feeling someone is watching me. They're sentient, man. I'm telling you. No, but they're stopping to take pictures, and that's because this is an homage to Chris Sawyer, the designer of Roller Coaster Tycoon, being so impressed with the design that you created in his game. And because you decided to name them Chris Sawyer, they will stop every so often and take pictures of, wow, this was made in my game. Look at this park that this person has created. I did not notice this, or knew it was a thing until very recently when one of the content creators I had suggested put a video about this. Literally, I think it was like weeks or months ago. And there's different names that you can name people, and I think they're all, they have something to do with the developers of the team, or just people that they know. It is one of the coolest aspects, I think, to a game like this, to have such a cool little Easter egg hidden in its features. And I did not even know that it was a thing until only recently, because of how popular the game continues to be. I think that is just really, really cool on the developer's part to have taken the time to put this in. And I also thought at first that this was just a thing for the mod, but no, this is the actual base game that this is a feature in. I think that is really, really cool. So now, if I go to the guest list, see all these different names. It's actually really cool. I don't know how many names are possible in a game like this, but I just think that is really, really cool. Chris Sawyer's thirsty. I'm going to go ahead and entice them a little bit, put them in front of a drink stand. And they're going to keep taking pictures. But yeah, just the fact that, a thing like that exists says a testament to the designers, the developers of the game, and how passionate they were about a project like this. And just really, really cool that I was able to find that out. Okay, let's see. It is July year 3. We're slowly getting closer, and we need 400 more guests in order to beat the scenario. Like I said, completely doable. But I don't know what else is new in terms of rides that we can put in the park to entice more people to come in. So, I'm going to do another advertising campaign, but this time I'm going to do free rides for a ride. Let's go ahead and do free rides for Raging Rampart. It's feel like one of our newest rides. And we'll do that for the full 6 weeks. I think this is just a way to get more guests into this park and, basically just to get word out for the park itself. I just think that would be pretty interesting and maybe a little bit of a easier way in order to get those extra numbers up before we reach the beginning of year 4, which seems like a ways out, but then again, anything and everything could happen in that time span. So we'll just do a little bit of micromanaging here, make sure everything in our park is up to snuff when we get those extra heads in this park. So I hope you guys have enjoyed my playthrough of Roller Coaster Tycoon 2. I am absolutely loving this game, and like I said, the process of flow is absolutely taking over. I find it pretty interesting to note that I'm still able to get lost in a game like this. That I feel it's a match to, I guess, like my level of intellect that I have for games like this. I know that I'm not trying to make that sound smart in any sense, but what I mean by that is because I have been able to take the time to learn the ins and outs of the game, I can literally just sit here for X amount of time and just still manage to have a very enjoyable time with this game. And, whether that's a testament to the game itself, to the design and customization aspects, there's just something about this game that keeps drawing me in after all these years. And who knows if I'll ever even be able to figure it out, but, you know, it's, you know, stands to reason that the game still has a significant impact on me after all these years. I find that pretty ironic that we just did an advertising campaign for Raging Rampart and it broke down. But luckily the mechanic is fairly close, so I'm not too worried about that. Let's pay back more of our loan. Because I don't think there's any other ride that I'm, like, you know, busting myself to have at this park. I think most of them we pretty much have at this point. We could get the research funding up. I don't 100% know if that does have a significant impact over the research that is done, which I think is, you know, still pretty interesting to note that after all these years, there's still so much of this game that I don't know about. And, you know, I'm okay with that. I'm perfectly fine with the fact that I'll still have so much of this game to discover, despite it being as old as it is, and also despite like its simplicity, there's still so much that needs to be said and that can be said and learned about in a game like this. I think that's actually like pretty unique and a fairly, you know, enjoyable aspect of a game like this. Just the fact that there's still so much to be learned. Ooh, the Enterprise. That's a good one. I think we'll definitely want this somewhere in the park. I don't know if we're running out of room necessarily. I wouldn't like to put it somewhere here, but I guess there's no room. Let's see what we're working with here. As my rides continue to break down, which is a good sign. I guess we'll go in the back. Right there. Oops. There we go. Big wavy path. And there we go. I also love how incredibly easy that was in order to put down a new ride and just go from there. And there we go. We have an Enterprise. And we'll just do like, just for decoration. Yeah, why not? Excuse me. Since I ditched most of those trees anyway. Let's just continue to clean up after the park. We have 400 guests to go, and we're in August of year 3. So, we're getting there. But, like I said, this is not the kind of game that has a fast forward button and you're able to rush through the process. You know, there's rewards for waiting as long as it takes you. Despite what a lot of people would probably do. And I find that, you know, it's fine on my part. I'm able to sit down and think about my judgments carefully as opposed to willy-nilly going about placing a bunch of rides and attractions without any major idea as to what I'm supposed to accomplish. But at the same time, you know, that's initially how you start the game. How you finish the game is going through the procedurality, learning the process, learning what works, and the different strategies of the game. And then, you know, the aspect of, quote-unquote, putting things down willy-nilly actually becomes something done with a purpose as opposed to just an entertainment factor. There's a lot of reward when you finally manage to learn how the game works, learn the ins and outs, and being able to see everything unfold before your very eyes is also a pretty cool aspect of the game. At least in my opinion. There's a lot of people out there that maybe they're watching this and they have no clue what they're looking at, what I'm talking about, and this just is not an appealing game for them. And that's perfectly fine. You know, I'm not here to base anyone's opinion over what kind of game they're allowed to enjoy or things of that nature. What I am saying, though, is that um, there are a lot of people in this world that feel compelled with a game like this, and they still have that sort of nostalgic connection, and uh, there's a, I guess, sort of a, not really a desire, but just an overall purpose to revisiting a game so many years later and still having so much to say about it. That's the way that I would look at it, at least. Is that there's still so much to be said about a game like this, and I can't stress that enough. Um, but yeah, I'm glad I decided to revisit this game once again for a project like this and view the game in a different sense as opposed to me just coming back and playing the game for the sake of playing it, which, you know, obviously I still enjoy doing, but this is the first time that I've used the recording program like this, and this is also the first time that I've spoken about this game to an audience of whoever decides to watch this video. But I found it to be very enjoyable, and I'm hoping that those of you out there that decide to watch this game feel the same way. Okay, so what else can be done? I want to do something kind of crazy, in that I want to put a water ride somewhere in the park just to spice it up. But I don't think I'm going to go out and do a boat. I'm going to go ahead and do a flume and do my own custom design on the outside of the park, similar to how we did the roller coaster. Let me go on this side over here. So this is going to be tricky, but I think it's something that can be done. Let's find out. So we start with our station, and we're going to go up, 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 and that's about as high as the game will let us, and it's actually too high. So we'll go over the park. We'll go into the park, and then we're going to have a drop. Right there. Just a small one to start things off. We're going to have multiple drops in this flume ride. Can we go under? That's a big question. Let's see what happens. Let's experiment a little bit. Yes, we can. That, I did not expect that. We're going to have a big double drop right here. Oh yeah. As you guys are watching me build this, you can say whether or not you would ride a something like this. We're also... Oh, to make some extra cash, let's go ahead and do a photo section. After the turn. So we're going to go... oh, that's too far. Up here. Let's see, I'm looking for just like a straight path. Oh, let's go right here. So right there is going to be a photo section. And now we'll keep editing this. Let's do a S-bend, and we'll go back up. And we're going to have one last drop before we head back to the station. Let's see, I'm going to go... I'm going to go straight a little bit, and then a turn, and then I might go back down and through. Let me see. I think that would be kind of neat. So if we... Ooh, should we go underground? I think we should. Yeah, I really think we should. Big underground drop. That's fun, right? Something different. And then we'll go back up. And then one last time. Pass bend to the right and the left. And then down. Woo! And then is that... Ooh. We can fix that. And then add a station. There we go. we have made one pretty crazy, I do have to say, looking log flume. That was actually pretty fun. I'm not gonna lie. Let's test it. Whoa! And that's why we test. There's a little too many boats here. Is 8 enough? No, that's too much. We could also do a double station, but I'm not gonna do that. We're just gonna stick to 6. And I want to see how this goes before we open. Excuse me. And what's really cool is that, see this guest right here, Valerie P? They're stopping to watch the construction of the ride. And I just think that's another way of showing that, you know, these guests are actually pretty sentient in that, you know, they'll do little things like stopping and admiring your park, or they'll stop and look down at the paths that are a little bit unkempt and things of that nature. So I think there's definitely some aspect of the developers wanted to make these guests as real as possible without necessarily being portrayed as real beings, if that makes sense. Seems like the flume is going good so far. Hopefully the queue line won't be so long. That's something that I didn't really consider. So I might move the entrance over here and just bring that to the path right there as opposed to wrapping it all around, because I don't want to lose any of that rating. You know, why lose it now when we've done so much for it? So this is going to be tricky. I'm going to... Yeah, I'm going to do the see-through scenery camera and see how we can work with these paths and such. So, okay, cool. Excuse me. Up, up, and then turn the scenery camera off. And that works. Okay, now for the queue. Turn the scenery camera on, and we'll start. We're not gonna put the queue right there. Obviously, that wouldn't make sense, so we're gonna delete that. But we'll go into, and then up, and then that should be good right there. It's annoying when that happens, but there we go. Hey, there's like just one little stub of the castle wall right there. We'll need more no entry signs to direct our guests. We'll go there, and right there. That's good. Losing track of the camera here. Delete this one. And that is good. And we're gonna name this one, I don't know, Bastille. We have Bastion and Bastille. That's pretty much the few castle themed words that I can come up with. But, you know, whatever works, right? Add some benches here. Obviously, you're not going to be able to see the ride over the castle wall, but, well, I mean, you kind of can. It's not like guests are going to, like, make an effort to jump up or anything like that. Guests are complaining about the disgusting state of paths in the park. That's not good. That is going to be detrimental to our rating, and also Bastille has not been fixed, so I'm going to have to scramble here and see if we can't do anything about that. Because our rating has dropped down significantly because of that, and also the fact that Bastille excuse me, had not been fixed yet. I'm okay. Is you know, another way to lose park rating faster. But Hopefully we should be good. I'm hoping so. Just gonna have to keep going and find out. We are 300 guests short, and we're almost to the beginning of year 4, which is good. So let's see. Can go up here. Oh god, that's a lot right there. This handyman is gonna have his hands full. I also find it kind of hilarious that the handyman in this game, to clean up vomit, they literally just give it a little sweep, and that's good. um, I'm not 100% sure, like I'm no expert, but I can make a pretty safe guess that that's not how the process works. But, you know, like I said, it's just another way to bring humor into a game that bases itself around business simulation, which I think is pretty smart, clever, and fun at the same time. Okay, so I think our handymen are getting the job done, which is good. I think I might, well, another first aid room would be not a terrible idea. We'll go ahead and put that here, and we'll, oh, gotta clean up the food area a little bit, and we'll go ahead and put another restroom down too. Oh, that's funny. The carousel broke down and the music gets slow. That's actually pretty funny when that happens. Sometimes it'll speed up and get like incredibly like bizarrely fast, which I didn't even know was a thing until it happened by complete accident, and I just thought it was like one of the most hilarious things I've found when playing a game like this. Like I said, after all these years. Okay, so let's go ahead and reposition our handyman. Our park rating has gone back up, thankfully. So that was pretty smart decision on our part to go ahead and do that. Do some micromanaging and also building a nice variety of rides, I think, helped out in a sense as well. As year 4 approaches, and oh, this will be interesting. We're going to have our first rain, or maybe not our first rain, but a rainstorm which we have not had in a while. So that means guests are going to need some umbrellas. And as you can see, if I were to go around the park a little bit, some guests should have some umbrellas out. Well, it's like just nobody bought any. Ah, there we go. Yep, see, they're starting to buy them. Apparently, one of the tips and tricks to like making money in the game is to just completely overprice your umbrellas, because guests will like scramble to get them once it starts raining. Which, you know, there's a lot of strategies to consider, and this was another one that I had discovered from the content creators of this game, which I was not even like remotely aware of. But just something that I thought was pretty interesting to note, and it's another way of, you know, I guess how I would say this, putting a new strategy to getting the level. Oh, I am so stupid. I forgot about the path to the exit. I am so incredibly stupid. So these guests have literally just been exiting the ride and falling down. That is really dumb on my part. Oh my god, we gotta fix this. Oh my god, I'm glad I caught that when I did, otherwise this could have literally cost us the entire level. Oh my goodness. So now we're just bringing these guests back to the main path. That is actually hilarious that that happened. And usually there's a message saying like, oh, there's no exit to your ride. It doesn't connect to the path. There was nothing. So I'm literally just like going on as if nothing had happened. In the meantime, all these guests have fallen down into this abyss outside of the park. That is hysterical. We don't want that to happen again, but I think we got all the guests. Just double check here. Let's see. Should I do a see-through ride? Yeah, let's do that. Make sure nobody's like out here. I think we're good. Okay, major crisis averted. So that is really good on our part. Oh my gosh, that is so funny. Like I said, glad we were able to discover it before anything else could have happened. And that's probably another reason why our park rating went down as much as it did. Luckily, it's still staying up fairly high. What date is in year 4 that we're done here? I think it's October. Yes, it is. Okay, so we have a little bit ways to go, but that just means we can continue to play more of this game. Play more of this level, and I did not see at the bottom what was unlocked. I forget how to access my messages. I think was it this? No. There was one button that you could click on that shows your messages at the bottom. There we go. Figured it out. Inverted hairpin coaster. Which one is that? Oh. Oh. I actually haven't designed one of those in a while. I think we have our next idea. The question is where? I don't think we're running out of space, but it'll be an interesting test to see. We could do it over here. I think we'll go ahead and do that. Plus, guests can look at it on the way in. Hawk's Nest. It's not bad, but it's mostly flat. We're gonna go ahead and do a custom. Let's live on the edge, shall we? So for those of you that ask how I'm able to raise the station like this, you hold down Shift. And this is something that I believe is taught in the tutorial of this game, but I don't remember off the top of my head. Maybe I'll show a brief glimpse of the tutorial after I complete this level. Just so I can show everyone what I mean when I say the game has a sense of procedures to learn in order to play the game. Okay, so we'll go high, like pretty decently high up. And we'll go simple curve around. There's no helixes with this coaster. And we're gonna... There's not really any special tracks either. It's just pretty straightforward, ironically. Do I want to do a crazy one? I kind of want to do a crazy one, so let's go way down. Way down we go. And then back up. And go here, and we'll loop around and go back down. Woo! Down. And does that go? Yes, it does. Oh, you can do this. Perfect. And we'll go way down once again. And I don't know how much speed we have here, but I assume it's enough to make a hill like this. So we'll go here. And we'll go. We'll do this. We'll go straight, and then curve. Nope, wrong way. And then curve, down, and then curve, and then straight, and then a curve, and then way down. Good lord, this is going to be a crazy coaster, but that's what we're here for. And then we'll go back up, and I think we should have enough to make this. And I think we should do some brakes here. Oh, oops. And then we'll do some brakes right about here. Crazy Night still has not been fixed. That's a good sign. And we'll do another station platform right here. There we go. Perfect. Okay. Entrance here, exit here. And let's test this. And then obviously, like, you guys can say whether or not you want to ride this one. I'm gonna lean on the side of no, but you know, that's just me. Whoop. And then whoop. Whoa. Yep. And then down. back up, down. Wow, that actually worked. I'm stunned. I am absolutely stunned, and I would expect this one is going to... Oh, no. Oh, that's not good. The red is never really a good sign. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. I think this coast is a little bit too intense. We're gonna fix this one. We're not gonna come to it just yet. We've received yet another message about the paths in the park, which is concerning, but then again, the park is fairly decently large, so I guess it is somewhat expected. But we're gonna go ahead and take care of that right now before anything else happens. Some lines are breaking down, that's fine. Let's go ahead and hire another handyman. Better safe than sorry. Let's see. Sweeping, 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 sweeping. Go over here. The thing is, there's no, sometimes like when a ride breaks down, there's a button that snaps you to the camera of the ride that's broken down, but when it comes to the paths, there's nothing. You're left on your own to figure out where certain paths need the most maintenance. Which is fine. You know, there's an added level of challenge as opposed to simply just telling you what to do in order to fix certain aspects of the park. You know, it makes sense. And it's not necessarily, like, challenging, but offers a level of trying to, you know, critical thinking, trying to figure out on your own the best possible solution to maintaining your park. So I think that is good, but there's still like a lot of vomit around certain parts. But our park rating has gone back up, thankfully, so nothing too crazy. What is crazy is this coaster, so we gotta fix that. Let's go ahead and delete it and let's start over. As we approach March year 4, so we're getting pretty close. I think we'll actually be able to do this. Guess we'll find out. Okay, so we won't go as high this time. But we'll still have a little bit of a decent drop. Let's go wee. And then let's go one more. And then almost to the exact height of the drop, because if we don't, the coaster is not going to make a complete circuit. Small curve here, and we'll do kind of the same thing that we did. Down, straight, straight, curve, down, straight, straight. Big curve, little curve, and then big drop. I'd like to get it to weave somehow with each other, but I don't think that's possible. So instead, we'll just do small curve here. Well, now that might fling guests around with the G's too much. So let's see if that's any better. I'm not sure by much, but it's at least better than the last one, that's for sure. Like I said, nothing too crazy, but maybe just a little bit, maybe like the perfect amount of crazy. Woo! Up, and then whoop, down, and whee! Whoop, down, And then there we go. Okay, that should be better, right? The G's are automatically better, so that's a good sign. What are we looking at here? High, maybe high, medium, low or something? Yeah, I doubt it. High, very high, medium. I'm going to go ahead and roll with that. Now, very high doesn't necessarily mean that guests won't ride on it. It just means that they might be a little bit hesitant at first, which maybe you guys will actually be able to see once I finish the construction here. Add another no entry sign. Delete this one. And we need the queue. And I just realized it's not a good idea. Guests are already starting to go on this path, so no entry sign right there, so they make their way back to the park. I'm hoping that wasn't too bad of a decision. Bring the no entry sign a little bit closer. And then that should be good. Instead of inverted hairpin, we'll call this the Royal Guard. Why? Because I'm running out of castle words, that's why. That is good to go. And as you can see, that guy kind of hesitated. He was like, whoa, no thank you. Guests are able to recognize when a ride is too intense for them, but there's still a pretty decent amount that's going on, which is somewhat surprising, but, you know, nothing too crazy. We're definitely going to need some benches after this one, though. We'll do some bins as well, just in case. And there we go. Okay, we have a few months left, and 300 guests to go. We'll go ahead and do another advertising campaign with the park. We'll do the full 6 weeks. And hope for the best. Shouldn't be too much of a problem, but, you know, only one way to find out. Let's go ahead and watch this ride in action, shall we? Plus we get to hear some little screams, which is always a plus. And woohoo! I would 100% not be riding this. As simple as it is, it looks a little bit too crazy for me. And this is someone who is very, very much indifferent about roller coasters, let me tell you. But nonetheless, it's perfectly fine to do this kind of thing in a simulated world. When there's, you know, fake sentient guests to monitor as opposed to, you know, any disaster with real ones, which sounds more sadistic saying that out loud, but nonetheless, there's just something amusing about being able to, I don't know if torture is the right word, but being able to see how guests interact in ways that would be different than the average person. And that's, like I said, akin to the developer's needs in order to create some aspect of entertainment for a game that's solely around businessmen. That's actually a pretty important thing to consider. Okay. Our guests are going up, which is good. We only need 300 more, which I think is possible. I'm hoping, because I don't want to come this far to not be able to provide for you all that are watching this video. Looks like our rides are doing fairly well. So, You can also charge for the photos that you've seen on this ride, and I'm going to go ahead and raise the price of that just to get some more extra cash to go, excuse me, $3.50, but we'll leave the price of the ride at $2, which I think is somewhat reasonable. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Come on, 1300, we're so close. Give us some 1300 at least. Oh man, this is tricky. This is really, really tricky. And I have faith. I have high hopes for this. Oh boy. There's not really any more of these coasters that I want to build. I think there's a ride coming up in the research that could be useful. I don't know what else we can do for our park to attract more guests, but we are going to do some micromanaging. Obviously, because I think it's important. So, I'm just going to take a quick look around here. What are people thinking about the Royal Guard? Great value, too intense. Great value, too intense. I just think that's actually pretty funny. Alright, we made it to 1300. That's good. So, progress is definitely being made. That's, if nothing else, I can at least say that. This path is really, really disgusting. No, don't go on the queue, go on the path. There we go. Sometimes handymen need a kick in the right direction. I say that, but I mean a lot of times handymen need a kick in the right direction. Oh no, Crimson Cavalry. I'm gonna do another mechanic just in case. Oh right, I forgot to set the ride inspection for 10 minutes. Just because we want to prevent a breakdown from happening here. Did we set it for Bastion? Yes, we did. Okay, we did. Okay, the circus. Alright. That's gonna be hopefully some way of making some extra expenditure for the park. Go ahead and put this in the corner over here. I think gentle rides are a nice way to add some extra revenue and things of that nature to the park. It's raining. People better go scramble to get their umbrellas. Crazy castle circus. Ooh, it's a thunderstorm. That's pretty interesting. I think we should do another information kiosk over here. Go ahead and do that. Green umbrellas, same price throughout the park. As you can see, some guests are scrambling to buy those umbrellas, which means the strategy actually works, which surprises me to some extent. Alright, let's put it over here. We're almost at 400. It's kind of steady at 1350, but I'm hoping that the campaigns and the extra rides and such that we do should put us just about enough to pass that 1500 mark that we need to be at. I guess time will tell. I always love zooming out just to get a big view of the park as a whole, just a way to look back and reflect on everything that you've done, regardless of whether or not the scenario is complete. I just think it's really fun and enjoyable. There's so much stuff about this game that I still find charming to this day. Okay, castle cards is being fixed, that's good. I'm tempted to bump up the funding for research, but we still have some more loan to pay back, I believe. We'll just go ahead and do that. Should I do another coaster? It might be basic, But if it's an opportunity to bring in more guests, then I'm all completely for that. And I'm going to put it over here in this area. We'll have to take back out our loan, but that's fine. I think we're going to go ahead and go with the spiral. I might do one of these customs. Wicked Wizards. That one looks fine. Go ahead and do that. Is this going to be too high? That answers that question, I guess. If it doesn't work, we'll go ahead and just do a custom. Oh, wait. Like right about... Oh, I didn't mean to zoom out. It's like right... Oh. Had it. Oh, right there. 12,000. It's like right here. Right there. We did it. There we go. Alright. So now the key is to... I'm tempted to put this down here. But I'm also not. I think I'm just going to go ahead and bring it back up to the main path here. Oh. Roller coaster's in the way. It's going to be tricky. No, it's not. There we go. Okay. I'm going to keep the cues just because I'm lazy. No entry sign. Oops. Right there. And then one more. Go right here with his benches. Delete this. Open this. And do some recoloring. And you can hear the seal barking in the background, which is actually kind of funny. The Queen's Gambit. Oh my god, I can't spell. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. So now, that should bring in some extra guests. We'll pay back more of our loan. There we go. And we'll up the price as we do for all of our coasters to $4. Set the inspection time. And we'll go ahead and hire one more mechanic because these messages are driving me crazy. I think we'll also do another security guard just in case. We have enough money, so why not? We'll watch some Queen's Gambit in action. We are very, very close to getting our marks, so I think we're going to go ahead and do another advertising campaign as soon as we get enough money, which should be fairly soon. We'll go ahead and watch Queen's Gambit in action while we wait for the money to build back up. 1,300 guests, almost 1,400. We are so close. And the important thing is, once we reach 1,500, is being able to keep that number. The park rating is, it's been fine for a while. It's just a matter of getting guests in the park and making sure they stay in the park. Which shouldn't be too huge of an issue, honestly. I think we made enough progress and built a nice variety of attractions to be able to work with it. Alright, let's do some micromanagement as always, clean up the path because building this Virginia reel was a terrible idea. Oh my gosh. I forgot how absolutely nausea intensifying these rides are. I mean, but they're bringing in guests. That's the most important thing. At least, one of the most important things besides having to clean these paths over and over. But like I said, this is a perfect game for someone who's willing to bring their attention to different areas of the park. It's not about managing one thing, it's about managing the entire park in a sense. So, you know, in a way, the game definitely succeeds in that option. I believe it's like over 2,000 that we need to do the 6-week advertising campaign for the park. We're fairly close. I just hope that our money doesn't go to red as soon as I try to begin the advertising campaign, because that used to happen in a lot of the older scenarios I played. Oh shoot, I forgot. That is hilarious. We'll just do it again. You know, like I said, it's a way to get guests in here, which we need to scramble to do in the August, September, literally June, July, August. I can't do math. However, number of months left in this scenario. We are so close. Okay, we have enough money. Let's go ahead and do that. While we do have enough, let's do the full 6 weeks. And let's go. Whew. Okay. This is where it gets pretty intense and pretty tricky. But it's that feeling of being so close. So close to being done. So close. I think we got this. I hope we do. We are at 1,400. We finally managed to pass that milestone. We are so close at this point. I can feel it. As our rides keep breaking down, I can definitely feel it. Okay. 100 more guests. Oh, so close. So close. Oh man. What can I do? What should I do? What do I have to do to get those extra numbers? Throw ride in July. That could help. It might be our last hope, to be completely honest. There's not another medieval-themed entertainer that we can hire, is there? Knight, pirate, snowman. Nah, not really. I was just curious. There's another simple way to boost the happiness of the guests. Because I think that's what they did. There's a lot of fan theory videos about this game as well. Remember how I told you guys that the content creators are still going strong? There's a lot that have to do with fan theories about like whether or not the strategy works and the best possible way to complete the scenario in like the shortest amount of time. There's speed runs, which you know are very entertaining to watch. And yeah, there's just so much of this game that just continues to exist, which I find to be really fascinating, if I'm being completely honest, as we approach the hour-and-a-half mark to the scenario being done. See, that handyman's already on top of that. I could have sworn we assigned a handyman to patrol this area. Yeah, see, it is. I just don't know where they are. If they're doing their job, which clearly they're not. Honestly, they're missing all this extra stuff. But nonetheless, it's nothing that a simple click and drag can solve. Oh, right, and these logs are close together because the ride broke down. But that shouldn't result in a crash. I really don't think a log flume can crash. But I don't want to be the one to find out. Everything should be okay now, though. I hope so. Almost 1450. Holy cow. I think we got this. I actually think we got this. Damn, a lot of vomit in front of the hot dog stand. Actually kind of funny. Okay. Let's see here. 1450. We're on the brink of researching a new ride. That should help a little bit more. Okay, 1460. The fan. Let's see. Oh darn, not King's Court breaking now. Now people have no ride to ride on if they want to get incredibly sick. Oh man. Maybe next time if I play a scenario, I don't build the Virginia reel. Does it sound good to you guys? Because it definitely does sound good to me. I'll see this right here. This is my worst nightmare. Getting stuck on a coaster like this, completely sideways, like so close to the exit, but yet it's not there. That would drive me insane. I don't think I'd be able to handle that if I'm being completely honest. I don't do heights. For those of you, well, a few of you that actually know me, I just don't do heights. I've never been a fan. I've always been pretty damn scared when I was a little kid, and I still have an issue with it to this day. I refuse to ride on a coaster that has a loop or a twist or a corkscrew or anything of that nature. I just have not been able to handle it, nor do I think I'll ever be able to be completely honest. It's just a lot easier to build a coaster in a game for guests than it is to experience one in real life. At least, that's what I would say in my honest opinion. Crazy Night still has not been fixed. Oh, well. Wait, why are you way over there? Thanks, Crazy Nights, man. You're right here. Oh, rainstorm. There we go. Should be fixed relatively soon. Look, people on the coaster are like, hello? Is this really happening? Like, checking their watch and stuff. That's hilarious. The Roto Drop. Ooh, that is pretty interesting, actually. I think that should give us at least a little bit of a boost. A lot of you will probably recognize this ride as soon as I built it. Or at least, like, have seen some version of it at theme park. Let's go right there. And this is going to be tricky. Maybe not. We'll find out. Okay. You guys ready to see this one? I'll go ahead and show you a test real quick. So you begin by going up, up, and up. You reach the top, you spin around a little bit, and then you drop. Woo! Oh my god. That's definitely a ride that I would not be one of my go-tos. And this one is going to be another vomit machine. So we're going to need a lot of benches near this one. Storm the castle. I'm running out of ideas. Bear with me. Let's go ahead and do it. I also find it hilarious that guests that are nauseous still wait on a queue for a ride with a very high intensity rating. I think that's actually hilarious, if I'm being completely honest. Park rating is still relatively high. Just a matter of getting those less than 100 guests in the park in a few months, which we should be able to do. This looks like it might be another 2-hour video, but I sincerely appreciate those of you that have been able to watch this video, stick around, listen to my commentary. This was very enjoyable for me, and like I said, I love talking about games that I have a big passion for, and I'm hoping that being able to speak in the game in an analytical sense as opposed to, you know, just me having a nostalgia connection was very informative and entertaining to, you know, some aspect for you guys to listen to. I really do appreciate it. As we continue to micromanage Crazy Castle, the advertising campaign finishes up. Go ahead and clean up some more of the park. Oh no, not Crimson Cavalry again. Wait, why is that car still going? It's gonna... Oh, okay, I was about to... Crisis averted. I thought for sure there was gonna be a crash. I was about to lose it. Actually, it would have been hilarious. This girl here. Oh my gosh. 20 more guests, and that's it. Unbelievable. We'll actually be able to beat this scenario. I didn't think it was possible. But lo and behold, we did it all without a boat ride. So let me try and think of some more topics that I can discuss as we wait for this scenario to play out. I guess one thing I can address for you all here is why choose to discuss a game like Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 when my presentation covered a number of different Tycoon games. The reason being I chose this game is because there are so many topics of this game that can be discussed in an academic sense as opposed to some of the other Tycoon games. And also, a game like this provides a lot to talk about in terms of being able to offer a sense of entertainment besides, basing itself as a game that has to do with business management. There is so much to be seen from a game like this that I feel that it's important to look at a game like Roller Coaster Tycoon with an open mind, in a sense. I had an idea, but it didn't work. This game still holds true to this day, and I'm very, very fortunate that I was able to experience this once again. I think it says a lot to the testament of the original intention of the developers of this game for it to still have as much of a community feed as it does today. I was on Twitch, and I actually managed to find multiple, though few, they were still in existence, streams of Roller Coaster Tycoon. I believe it was the original, but nonetheless. The game still has a community that has a sense of the game still having a level of charm and enjoyment after all these years, which I honestly did not think would be possible, but lo and behold it is. And I'm very, very thankful that the game still is able to have so much to be discussed about. So much to be discussed, I should say, not discussed it, but you know what I mean. It's primitive, it's simple, and it's charming, and it's entertaining, fun, and still manages to bring into question the traditional aspect of a video game. The idea of building a game, developing a game based solely around management is definitely a challenging task to overcome, though not entirely impossible. Although when viewed in a sense, it can be extremely difficult for a game that's intended for somewhat younger audiences to be enticed by the idea of playing a game that requires a lot of micromanaging, sitting around waiting for things to unfold organically, as opposed to coming up with a system to, let's say, quote-unquote, beat the level faster, or, figure out a non-traditional sense. Not necessarily hacking, but, in a way to break the system of the game in order to complete it in a faster time. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like I said, if you're some kind of completionist or achievement hunter, there's a lot to be seen in a game like this. But at the same time, this game does offer aspects of entertainment as well as being particularly useful for discussing video game rhetoric in a sense, and the way of being able to entice players to actually take the time to sit down and learn systems of the game in order to fully enjoy it, which seems like it's a lot to ask for, certain players. But at the same time, that's how it was intended. It's how players can get a sense of how the game functions and how best to approach scenarios and different aspects that truly make the game feel like it's new every single time that you begin it, in a sense. Which I think is actually really, really unique and cool about a game like this, is the fact that it's still able to offer so much despite it being simplistic and old and, you know, primitive for its time. And yet, I feel like it's the most primitive that some of us have a deep nostalgic connection for. I'm being able to sit here, talk to you guys, and advocate for a game like this despite it being the way that it is. In a sense, it doesn't need to be changed. And people realize this. There was not really a desire for a remaster of a sense, and instead just mods of the original game, just brand new aspects that make the game fun and enjoyable, and make it feel as if it's new despite it being as old as it is, which I think is a big testament to the creators of the series of Roller Coaster Tycoon, as well as maybe some other Tycoon games that I hadn't mentioned previously in my presentation or discussing here with you all. There's just something so uniquely different and entertaining about these kinds of games that I still find enjoyable, and I'm happy to sit here and discuss and demonstrate for you all how these things have come to life in a game like this, and despite it, you know, being the way that it is. But that's the thing. It just works, and there's a way that people can find some sense of entertainment and nostalgic connection with a game like this that I find to be actually pretty special. I'm hoping you all were able to get a level of enjoyment out of this as well, watching me sit here, play this level, and explain to you all that this is a game that I feel deeply connected with, and I'm happy to have been able to decide to discuss this game in a more analytical sense for you guys. As we approach the end of this scenario, I think we'll just keep doing some micromanaging, and I'll be able to discuss anything with you all as it seems fit as we approach the 2-hour mark of this video. Like I said, I cannot thank you all enough who have decided to sit down and watch me play and talk about the game that I feel very strongly about. It really does mean a lot, and I'm hoping you all, you know, maybe gain some sense of enjoyment out of watching this and hearing me discuss it as well. I don't remember, excuse me, off the top of my head how much this game is, but it is on Steam in its current version, as well as the original expansion packs, which have also been very enjoyable, as well as the original Roller Coaster Tycoon is also on Steam, and it also has a version on Android mobile, which I have, and I assume it's on iOS as well, which has been okay. It can be a little bit iffy at times in terms of functionality, but I get what the developers try to do here, and it is the closest thing to literally packing the original game down to a mobile version, which I honestly did not think was possible, but lo and behold, they managed to find a way to make it work, which I did not think they could, honestly, which, you know, is another testament to the passion behind the developing team to get this game accessible to as many audiences as possible, despite it being as old and as simple and primitive as it is. So, should be, let's see what day, yep, we're almost at September. We are going to be pretty close to completing the scenario, and I'm actually really excited for you guys to see when the scenario is completed, because there's a nice little treat that the developers put in a game like this, which I think is another testament to how entertaining these games can be. So, we'll just let our game play out some more. I think our research should be done relatively soon. Soapbox Derby Race. That's a coaster. Oh my goodness. I don't think we necessarily need another coaster. We'll go ahead and cancel that for the next one, and we'll go ahead and cancel water rides as well. And transport, I don't really use either. We'll just do gents and throw rides as we approach the end of this scenario. I'm really glad they decided to include that option where you can narrow down the research. It's also a way to get rides that will help the scenario not necessarily go faster, but make sense for the, I guess, aesthetic feel for a park. Like, for instance, if you're building a park in the middle of the desert, you might not find it necessary to take out the funds in order to build an area of water to create a water ride, you know. Um, and also, like, if you're building a park that's heavily coaster based, you might not find the options to research like rides and stalls necessary. And like I said, that's the beauty of it. Every player has the ability to approach a level in their own form. It's that blank slate that we're all given at the beginning that says to the player, okay, if you've honestly made an effort, excuse me, to take the time to learn the procedurality, learn how this game works, and then you're going to be able to approach one level and then 10, 20 levels afterward, because it's literally the same concept that's helped you through the first time, that's going to help you through multiple times after that, which I think is actually really, really unique and fun about a game like this, is that every player is able to do whatever they want in order to achieve the goals, beat the mission, and just feel that sense of satisfaction at the end, which I know we're going to feel relatively soon as we approach the last month of our campaign for this scenario. Feels like just yesterday we were given, it honestly feels like yesterday when we were given literally just a big blank spot, and you look back and you see what you've turned it into. This is all you. Whether it be a custom design or one that's already been made, decisions you make were entirely done by your part. And I think that's honestly something really satisfying about playing a game like this. Enough gab. We are approaching the middle of September. Our goal is met. We have enough gas. Our park rating is almost 1,000, which is absolutely unreal. I did not think that was possible. We managed to pay back our loan, which is another plus on our part. It's not necessarily like a penalty that comes back to haunt you at the end, but just the fact that we were able to do that, I think, is pretty special, at least in my opinion. And honestly, Crazy Castle, from what I recall playing this game in the past, is not really a level that I had stopped and given much thought to, but I actually fairly enjoyed it. It's not my favorite level in the game. That would be Electric Fields, for some reason. Maybe just because I like the idea of building a park on an old abandoned farm or things of that nature, but I actually found this really fun. And the overall castle theme, it's different and unique, and it kind of works in a sense. Soapbox dirty. Oh, I thought this was something completely different. That's yeah, it's unique, I guess, but I don't think we need to. I think we're gonna actually pass on it. As we approach, like I said, the end of this level, we're actually gonna be able to get this done, which I'm thankful that we were able to. Honestly, I didn't think it was possible, but lo and behold, it happened. We can go ahead and do free rides on a ride while we're looking at it as the rain starts. What ride has like a queue that we can work with that is not going to keep crashing over and over? Not crashing, but breaking down in a sense. Oh my gosh, they're all breaking down towards the end of the level. That's hilarious. Queen's Gambit would be good. Let's go ahead and do that. And we'll just do a short one. We'll do... do it. Let's forget it. We'll do the 6 weeks. So we have 3 weeks remaining on the initial advertising campaign, and we'll also do a free ride campaign just to get some extra guest numbers up. Gain some more attention to the park, which, is always a plus on our part. And like I said, just continue to do some micromanaging as we approach the end of the level. Excuse me. I love popping the balloons, by the way. Oh, also, there's something you can do with the water. I guess this was a bad time to demonstrate, but sometimes in your water areas, you'll have little ducks swimming around. You'll be able to click on them, and they'll quack at you. Completely unnecessary, but very entertaining. I think was the reasoning behind making a decision like that in a game like this. No, wrong way. There we go.